5. Anyone that might have any electronic devices on your possession, I'd ask you to please silence them at this time. I'm going to ask Councilman Atlee Walker to lead us in an opening prayer, and afterward, I'm going to ask Brandon Burgon to lead us in the pledge.
Lord, I want to ask that you watch over the residents of West River Parish as we prepare to celebrate Independence Day, Lord. Lord, your word tells us that where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's liberty. Lord, I ask that our faith continue to be in you, Lord, and that your Holy Spirit work through us, Lord. I pray that you lead and guide us, Lord, in all truth. I thank you for the men and women that are in this chamber council this evening, and we want to give you all the glory. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Atlee. Thank you, Brandon. Council log in attendance. We're good. Made a record show we have a quorum. Moving to item 5, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of June 12, 2025. If everyone's had a chance to look over those minutes, I have a motion by Mr. Lane, second by Mr. Crowe to approve. I'll open the machines to vote for approval of the minutes. Minutes are approved. Item 6, consider any amendments to the agenda, and we have none. Item 7, Parish President's Report. Mr. Jason Manola.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and council members. I just want to go over a couple things real quick with you guys. Well, maybe not real quick, but yesterday we met with the Parish Presidents of Louisiana, had a meeting to discuss with Mark Cooper, who is the appointee of President Trump. He's one of 10 designees in regards to a committee that's looking at FEMA and kind of restructuring FEMA going forward. Some of you may remember the name Mark Cooper. He was actually served under the Gender Administration and also under the Edwards Administration as the GOSEP director here in Louisiana. We had a very good meeting, but I can tell you every single parish president, the main topic or the main thing that kept coming up is try to remove as much of the bureaucracy as we could when it comes to natural disasters. All of us said, from myself to every single parish president, if they could structure in a way that they structured ARPA. If you remember ARPA, that's American Rescue Plan Act, whereas we got the dollars. They gave you a list of guidelines. This is what the money can be spent on. You can get the money in the hands of local governments quicker to where they can have a quicker impact on the residents in our parishes. So, I mean, everyone to a T, and he was taking notes and, you know, had a lot of agreement and head shaking that he agreed with that. Some of the other things that came up, one of the things I mentioned is audit timelines and close out of projects. You know, we'll get a natural disaster that happens, and they have a 7-year window to come and do audit of your closeout documents. They're gonna come a month before the 7-year runs out every time. And you've got people that change, administrations change, and it's just, you know, you lose track of some of that history just over time. So we talked about, you know, potentially moving those time frames up. Now I know you've been seeing, a lot of folks have been hearing and seeing in the paper and stuff that they talked about increasing the thresholds for state in a natural disaster. There was no discussion, and Mr. Cooper didn't talk about reducing funding for the state or anything along those lines, or anything along the, I'm not saying that that's not gonna come out of the restructuring, but there was no discussion based on, you know, local governments having to pay a greater share in the natural disaster. Because, you know, if that happens, of course, then that could cause a lot of different budgeting requirements from not only the state level, but on the local levels too. So it was a very productive meeting. I think we're all on board, and like I said, removing bureaucracy and trying to shift it to more of a ARPA type funding source. Next thing I want to just talk a little bit about is our drainage and roads department. They're continuously looking at ways to minimize flooding throughout the parish. You know, this administration, along with previous administration, council, this council, and previous councils, have proactively taken steps in regard to floodplain management and have incorporated retention and detention ponds in our codes. We've also required new developments to have complete drainage analysis as part of the permitting process to show zero, or in some cases, positive impact for stormwater runoff. Philip is going to come up here a little later and kind of go through and mention some of the projects that we've been undertaking here recently, but also some of the things that we've done in the past, even prior to this last rain event. I say rain event, I won't call it what it is. It was a flash flood that we had a month or so ago, a little over a month ago. You know, I think Jay Grimes accurately described this as a flash flooding. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, and I've been upfront from the beginning. I can't stand here in front of you and tell you that if we have a similar flash flood anywhere in our parish, that you're not gonna have flooding in our parish. And anybody else within the state of Louisiana can make that claim, they're not being truthful. It's just can't, it's not feasibly possible. You can't put the infrastructure in place to be able to withstand a flash flood, 8 inches in a little over an hour, I think it was. So, but you know, when you have a flash flood situation like we had, the shift then turns into like any other natural disaster. Then it shifts into a flood disaster management. And that's one of the things I'm proud of, is the way we actually manage the disaster. You know, like I said, you shift to response mode, which included evacuations. Remember, we had to evacuate the apartment complex when they lost power. We provided sheltering for the folks that may have needed it there, who took on the water and had their power shut off at the apartment complex. We had law enforcement and fire providing rescue services, working hand in hand jointly. Then after that, it didn't help that Addis actually discovered that there was a garbage can that during the flash flood had actually got sucked into one of the pipes that went underneath the highway. So as soon as they were able to get that garbage can out, you saw the water drop dramatically, very quickly. We then shifted to an after action plan. Every time we have an event like this, we all kind of get together, okay, what's some things that we can do? What can we improve upon? Just to see if there's any potential mitigation we can do during this recovery phase. We actually engaged PEC, Professional Engineering Corp, to do an engineering firm to do a modeling for us. Last thing we want to do is fix a problem and move it over here. You know, we just don't want to go stick buckets in the ground and start digging. So we want to have a model that's going to, with engineering stamp, that, you know, this is what needs to take place. So we're in the middle of that. But also, I just want to say this, and I know I see Chad in the back of the room, who's our drainage superintendent. I'll put our drainage and roads departments up against anyone around. Unfortunately, natural disasters happen, and there's no way we can incorporate drainage infrastructure to withstand this type of flash flooding. We will always continue to look at making improvements in our drainage with our roads and our drainage department. One other thing I want to talk about too is, and you're going to be seeing it later on, is a revenue bond for the consolidated sewer that's going to be paid back. It's not going to be paid back through utilities funds. That's actually going to be bonded against our sales tax revenue, so it will not be part of the utilities fee structure to where we'll have to increase people's fees. I just want to make that clear. You know, we will continue, our guys do a great job of daily maintenance and routine maintenance on canals, but we're going to continue to assist the state in maintaining culverts that go underneath highways, interstates, underneath railroads. But again, it's got to be a priority type thing because we have our own ditches and canals that we need to make sure we maintain. But we'll continue to do that. And that's just, technically it's the state's responsibility. But it's our residents that are harmed by it. So we're going to do everything in our power to make sure we continue to keep those as clean as possible. Can we keep 100% of them completely open and free at all times? We don't have the staff to be able to do that. But we're going to maintain them to the best of our ability, and we're going to prioritize them as best we can in the areas that are impacted the most. And I'm going to close with this, is just with, I just want you guys to know, just within the last 24 hours, we had 2 people, one from the north end of the parish and one from the south end of our parish, thanking us and thanking you guys for what we do in regards to drainage. You know, again, both ends of the parish thanking us for what we do. And I'll just close with this saying that, you know, anybody ever has any questions, whoever it may be, my door is always open. I'm more than willing to sit down and talk to anybody about where we're going and how we're addressing certain issues and protective measures we're putting in place. And I'll open it up to any questions you may have.
What percentage you think are we with our drainage study?
With the one,
Drainage study?
we just gave the scope of services, we're probably,
It was in May, because the storm was in April.
That's fine, I mean, just
So we,
take a guess.
me and Philip and Chad, we went drive out, basically the whole scope of it, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, last week. And basically they wanted to put a map together and we'll, you know, Chad and I can sit in and basically make sure everything's going the right way, just because Chad and his guys have all the infield, you know, expertise and all that. And then basically once that's consolidated, then it's, you know, modeling this out, modeling this
Okay.
project out.
Just wanted to make sure we had something going.
yeah, and Chad and his team have come up with I think it's a very good potential mitigation of some of it, you know, based on his elevation shots and everything else, but we still want that engineering model that stamped by them saying that, yes, this is the right direction, so.
And I'll back up what you said about our departments, all our departments. I don't know if our debris truck's down or whatever, I'm not sure, but in my area right now, they are out there with a small excavator, I don't know if it's yours or
Roads.
Roads. That takes forever, but they're getting it done. They got a little dump truck, well, a dump bed truck and a small excavator picking up debris off the side of the road, and that says a lot.
Yep,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I figured, but
yeah,
that says a lot about our department.
yeah. So, like I said, kudos to those guys, they're doing a great job. Thank you.
Jason, thank you for those comments. Wholeheartedly agree with everything you said. Appreciate the update. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
All right. All right, moving to item 8, public comments. These are general public comments. Anyone from the public would like to speak at this time? Anyone from the public? If I have none, we're going to move forward. Moving to item 9. Brief presentation by Ms. Melissa Martin, Director of the Grow Healthy Initiative. How you doing? Y'all doing okay?
Yeah,
Great,
thank
great.
you so much for having us.
No problem.
So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to address the council this afternoon. My name is Melissa Martin. I'm the Director of Pennington Biomedical's Grow Healthy Initiative. This is an important new initiative at Pennington that focuses on the prevention and treatment of childhood obesity in partnership with the state of Louisiana. So I'm here to share some important facts with you all that we announced during a press conference on June 5th, because childhood obesity is a key issue that addresses and impacts families across our entire state, not just where we're located on the other side of the river. So Louisiana ranks 3rd in the nation for childhood obesity. 23% of our children have obesity currently, and 70% of those children will go on to have obesity as adults, which we know will put them at risk for other chronic diseases as well as 13 different types of cancers. Childhood obesity is also costing our state about $127 million per year. Through this initiative, we are turning the science that we've been doing at Pennington for the last 35 years into practical tools and resources at no cost, free to the state and any community across the state to access and to use. This initiative was made possible through our Executive Director, Dr. John Kerwin, and West Baton Rouge native, Bonnie Email, and her work in partnership with the state of Louisiana. So over the past year, we have partnered with a variety of child care centers and schools across the area, impacting over 8,000 students. We launched a healthcare provider hub to provide free resources to our providers, free continuing medical education to our providers. That also includes a treatment toolkit on how to use the best and newest clinical practice guidelines in their setting. And we're also developing a variety of free mobile apps that'll be available for expectant mothers as well as families. Under the leadership of Dr. Kara Densel, who's a big part of our team over at Pennington, we are launching a study called Pennington Generation. And this research study is going to follow families across generations so we can best learn about how health behaviors and lifestyles really impact obesity as a whole. We've already screened 60 families, and we're looking to get 1,500. So we have a ways to go, but we've given ourselves a couple years to do that. And we are truly committed to reaching every corner of the state. So starting this summer, we're hitting the road. Our initiative, and we have a bus, we call it our Healthy Moves bus, big old purple bus with fun pictures on it. We're going to be traveling around the state to ensure that everyone has heard about Grow Healthy, knows how to access these free resources if they're interested in using them. So we're here tonight to ask for your support in sharing about this initiative, specifically any providers that you know, educators that you know, or families that are interested in ensuring a healthy future for their children. You can share our website, growhealthy.org. And we hope to be able to engage with your community across the parish over the next year. So thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you all, and hope to connect soon.
Thank you so
Chairman.
much. We appreciate you coming. Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
If I could, one quick question. One of the programs that we've initiated starting last year is we do health screening, health analysis throughout our parish, through our health unit, which is maintained by West Baton Rouge Parish. Do you have a card or something that I could actually hook you up with our health
Yes.
unit to where maybe we
Love
could
that.
partnership in this type of thing?
That'd
They
be
do a lot
great.
of the screenings and things
Yeah,
like that.
absolutely. So do y'all work with Dr. McGee at all?
No,
No,
not that I'm
okay.
aware of.
All right, great.
Mary Winfield is our
Okay.
medical director.
Okay, yeah, I'll grab a card and share
Okay,
it with you.
great. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Of
We
course,
appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. All right, moving to item 10, communication with council members and/or elected or appointed officials. Mr. Philip Burgon.
Well, as Jason mentioned, I would like to give thanks to our wonderful drainage and roads department. I've given you a report from what drainage has done. I don't have one from John. John's out with an injury this week to his arm, so he's on injured reserve. And I didn't want to, I didn't want to affect his healing process by stressing him out by giving me this. But I would like to read this because it's extensive, and these guys, I mean, they don't get the credit because a lot of times the work they do is in the woods where people don't see it. But a lot of these projects are where they can be seen, and they do a lot. And I also want to thank the farmers and the landowners that allow us to do this, because without them we couldn't do it. So your tractor crews for your drainage department are around the Lukeville area on the south end, on the north end around Flynn Road. I know Rhodes is making their third pass, and they're somewhere around Lobdell area, so they're a little ahead because they're on the roadside. So far this month, they've cleaned out 26,100 feet of canals and ditches. Lukeville Lane North Side ditch on the east side of LA1, they've dug that out, put everything on grade. Babytown culvert improvements, there was a few culverts in there that needed to be changed out. They fixed those. The Reed property, we finally got every canal on the Reed property cleaned out. The Moot Ditch and Younger Canal, which is, I think, on the south side of Sugar Mill, are cleaned, and that's waiting state to come in and blow out the culverts in the highway, because they said they weren't gonna blow them out until we cleaned it, so we cleaned it. Ball's on their court. Billups Lane, covered up upgrades. We had a crushed culvert on Billups Lane that we changed out. That should help some drainage in that area. The Parish Canal, we're always cleaning on Parish Canals, the north side and the south side. We ride those every month to see if there's any trees that fall in them, or if there needs to be something pulled out. So we're doing that every month. East Subdivision Road, there's a road right of way there that there's no road. So we went in, cleaned up the right of way, and redug the ditch all the way to one of our laterals. So that should help a little bit with some drainage on East Subdivision Road. Lukeville School North Ditch on the north side, which is, borders that Antioch property, they cleaned that ditch all the way, and they pulled some dirt out of that thing. So that should help some with the school in that area with, at Lukeville. And they also dug all the other ditches that are in the field on Antioch's property. Cooley Canal culvert on the LA1, I don't know if you've seen our guys out there. They pulled the wrecking ball through, and then they got our big sucker truck in there, whatever you call it,
Vacuum truck?
got all the mud out, and there was a lot. We cleaned out a lot from those two big culverts. Randall Gate culvert clean out, we actually had a culvert on Randall Gate, it was full of concrete. So it was stopped up totally. Someone come by and poured a bunch of concrete in it, you know, thinking they was cleaning out their truck, I guess. Cons Road ditch. And then here's some ongoing projects we got. We got Live Oak culvert upgrades. This is all the way back to the back of Live Oak. There's some undersized culverts that we're gonna change out. Chad found 2 of those in that last rain event that we're gonna go ahead and upgrade those 2 culverts, so that should help in those areas. Cooley Canal between LA1 and Choctaw, they're fixing to dig that. The Morley Canal, they're gonna start on June 30th. We finally got all of our permits and everything to get that cleared, so that's gonna start next week. Tauntaun Canal, they've already cleaned out 7,300 feet and it's still moving. And I don't know where this is. This is a ditch by East Subdivision that connects Landry Lane. They're gonna start cleaning that out this week. And some up and coming projects you see below. So I just wanna, give kudos to these guys and John's department for the hard work they do on a daily basis. We're constantly, 700 miles of ditches, we're constantly looking for ways that we can improve what we have or maintain what we have, so.
Go ahead, Adley.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Philip, for your comments on the work that's being done around our parish. Not only there, but in my immediate district. A number of these locations are in the heart of my district, and I want to say thank you for the work on Babytown, Randall Blue Gate, Antioch Road around Antioch Missionary Baptist Church, along Loopville Lane, and then going down into Cooley Canal, extending over into Turf's district. I know it's a great work, guys. You mentioned here you cleaned out 26,100 feet of canals and ditches.
That's this month.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot on our parish employees, and
Yeah.
I want to say
And you can go back and look at every month of reports I give you, it's somewhere around that number.
right.
So
Yeah.
I just wanted to be recognized.
Oh yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
sometimes they don't, people, like I said, don't see what they're doing because a lot of our canals are in the woods that
Right.
they're clearing.
Yeah,
So these are visible ones.
Yeah, I've been getting a few comments from people in my immediate area about the work that's being done. And I'm gonna tell them, like I'm telling you, it takes a joint effort. You mentioned the roads, the drainage, getting with the farmers, and everyone getting together to make this happen. It's not about one person, it's about us collectively as a parish. And I wanna say thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you.
Go ahead there, Mr. Joseph, you got the floor.
Philip,
Stay up, Philip.
what about the 3 Canal over there on Court Street? I don't think it's kind of hard to get back there because we have to.
Chad, you want to comment on 3 Canal?
Chad, can you come up to the mic? Do you mind, Chad? Because it'll get you on
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
so we can hear it.
I know
Thank
there's a
you.
portion of 3 Canals for us to get into, right?
Yeah, so, that would be your southern portion of 3 Canal there. I mean, we got very limited access there, but what we are gonna do, we do have it in the works to go through there with our long boom excavator and do some cleaning up in there. I know we had talked about behind the daycare,
Yeah, you and I talked
and,
about
I mean, we limited with what we could do there with the fences and, like we talked about, the trees that's there.
that. Right.
But we are, constantly, looking at other options and ways to make things happen there, Like I said, we are in the works of getting a long boom excavator up in there to do some cleaning up on 3 Canal. I know we got a pretty big washout on 3 Canal that we are gonna take care of that. That's something that just, it takes a lot of planning, and you don't wanna do something that's gonna fail right after you do it,
Right.
So.
Right. All right.
The little remote mower, in the area that we talking about, it's, it just,
Just real tight back there.
and me and my team, we've been talking about some stuff for next year that we looking at doing, and I'm gonna be in talks with Jason and them about it. you know, adding in, another small mini excavator with some attachments on there to where we can get in those tighter areas. You know, a little small mini with a grinder and a bush hog, you know, something like that. Like I said, it's just stuff that we constantly looking at to improve going forward. So,
We're gonna do the best we can with the situation we have. I can promise you that.
Okay, yeah. All right, well, thank you then.
Thanks, Chad.
Okay. Mr. Hutard?
Well, yeah, thanks again for everything that y'all do. Obviously, those departments deserve all the recognition that they're getting.
Absolutely.
One of the things that is on my mind, so I wanted to bring it up, is I've been reached out to a couple of times, and I had conversations with John about this maybe 6 months ago. River Road between almost the town of Bruley limits to Fairview, I'll say, during heavy rain, it ponds really bad. John's group did an awesome job of scraping the west side of the River Road by Sinclair, trying to help the drainage, but the way the road super elevates, it drains back towards the levee, and those levee ditches have not been maintained by the state. So I don't know who we need to get in touch with that, but we've had one person hydroplane and hit a telephone pole, and then a couple other close calls I've been called about, so.
One of the things we're fighting in that situation is your river level, the level of the river right now, and being able to put a bucket in the ground, because they do not want you to scratch the surface of
Right.
the levee. But
Okay.
that is one of the things we have been
Okay.
talking about with John and
Yeah, well, I mean,
I know
we'd
John
like to-
talked to someone at the state, I haven't
Yeah,
seen anybody
Yeah.
from the state on that.
Yeah, it's our contact. But we are gonna do a little work, on the south side of Bruley, by the Tossan's house. We're gonna do some, once we can get in there,
Yeah.
we're gonna try to do some digging along the levee there. We can look at doing some digging over there, but I can tell you, it's all up and down the river road on the north side.
It is, yeah, you're right.
It's just as bad from
Yeah.
Port Allen, you know,
I just didn't know how much we could do,
well-
being that it's a state highway number
Well,
one, and that it's
let me tell you,
basically
the
levee.
state's response now is that if you guys wanna dig.
Right.
So, I've always been one, I don't wanna penalize the people who live in our parish because they live on a state road. I wanna help as many people
Yeah, I
as we
agree
can,
with
but
that.
we also have to maintain what we have to maintain first.
No, I agree.
You know, and then if we've got some time that we can get in there and do something to help, then we will. But I still wanna lean on the state to be responsible for what they have.
Right.
You know, so I'll get with Mike again on that and tell him, hey, we getting more requests to get something dug, some digging along the levee,
Yeah, I think just with that speed limit.
going,
and-
north.
Yeah, with that
From
speed
Bruley.
limit and that ponding, I think it creates some safety.
Yeah, I've
problems,
seen,
for sure.
I've driven that section of River Road, and I've seen where people obviously have run off the road.
Yeah.
Cause you can see where they smashed into the levee side and tore out fences and stuff, so they're obviously, there's an issue.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
man, appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Philip, again for this. We
Yep.
appreciate
I'll
it.
get
I
it
just
to you
want
every
to make,
month.
I want to make one comment. The upcoming, that first name of that ditch, I bet you if he knew this, he would really like, is it really named Larry Woods Ditch, or is it just a ditch by his house?
Is that what it's called?
I'm just kidding.
It passes my house,
Pass a
it's a known landmark.
Yeah, I guess we could pass a resolution if you want. All right, yeah. All right, thank you, Philip.
Thanks, Philip.
All right, appreciate it. Okay, council members, I'm sorry, we got some, Mr. Walker, I'm sorry.
Chad, that work on Cooley Canal, is it Cooley Canal Road or Lane coming off of Choctaw? Were you guys able to start with that yet?
So what we're doing, we're gonna, from Choctaw to LA1, we're gonna address that section. And then from there, we'll move south in the Cooley Canal route. So, you know, probably within the next month, we should be on Cooley Canal. I'm gonna say this is gonna take us about a week and a half, 2 weeks, because we gotta truck everything out of there.
Yes, sir.
So once we get through with that, we'll be on Cooley Canal route, and we'll start working in stages. Going
Thanks for
south.
the update. I haven't heard anything from the resident that lives in that area, but I just wanted to ask since we were discussing that.
Yeah, I talked with Mr. Lewis about it, and I let him know that, you know, we are gonna be, within the next month, we should be up in there addressing that issue.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Council members, do you have any other comments? This is your time.
Yeah.
Mr. Joseph.
Carrie, this is just a comment to Parks and Recreation and administration. Talked to Jason and earlier about the pool renovation. That was, we had some great comments on it. Juneteenth was a great success back at William and Lee Park, and want to continue to improve. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Joseph. All right. No other comments? We're gonna move to new business, number 11. Item A, consider the following item for surplus. Admin tag number 2009 Ford Escape, VIN number ending in 27118. Go ahead there, Chance.
As it reads, I'd like to send this to auction.
All right. So I have a motion by Mr. Hotard, second by Mr. Lane to approve this auction item. I'm gonna go ahead and open the machines up to vote. That motion passed.
Thank y'all.
Okay, item 12, public hearing on previously introduced ordinances. Item A, an ordinance amending chapter 104, zoning to incorporate amended zoning designation map, zoning plan under section 104-3, establishment of districts, official zoning map for rezoning request of Waring All Company LLC representing Yellow Transportation Incorporation regarding 956 Highway 190 West Port Allen, Louisiana 70767, file number 2025-15, described by the WBR assessor as part of track E22 and track E6, continuation of 5.88 acres Bel Air Industrial Park, 50A-12A rezoning from I-1 industrial small scale to I-2 industrial moderate scale. So this is a public hearing. I'm gonna go ahead and open up that public hearing. Go ahead there, Brandon.
Yep, Waring Oil, moving on to this property, they had reached out for a zoning determination, basically using the existing building to house all of the, non-hazardous, fuels and everything that they're gonna, and lubricants that they're getting in from other Waring Oil sites or vendors. And then they are also planning to add, outdoor storage tanks, for the actual, fuel, processes and all that. So they had listed about 100,000 gallons on scale for the site. Our I-2 industrial moderate lists 50,000 barrels, which is like 2 million gallons is like the max, so they're well below that. Just from like the zoning point of view, I-2 frontage all the way to the west till you get to South River Road, except for the one C2 property. And then they do have the Ag 3 and C1.3 to the north, which will kind of come into play for the site plan stuff, but the Ag 3 is, not being used in a residential manner in any way or anything like that. So P&Z had recommended for approval with a unanimous vote on last Tuesday.
All right, thank you, Brandon. This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public or anyone would like to come up and speak on this matter? Anyone from the public? If I have no one, I'm gonna close the public hearing and open up discussion to the parish council.
I have a question, just out of curiosity.
Yes, sure thing.
The liquid that's gonna be stored, what percentage is gas, what percentage is diesel? Do we know any of that information?
I did not ask that kind of percentage.
Do we have somebody here that can answer that? Yes, sir. Come on up, state your name for the record.
I'm Jamie Yearwood, General Manager, Waring Oil Company. The majority of it's going to be oil, probably 60 to 70% oil.
Okay.
And then we will have some gas there, but the majority of that's going to be diesel.
That's why I just was asked by a local resident that lives close by. Great, thank you. I can tell him.
Okay, thank you. You good, Mr. Babin?
Yes.
All right, so I have a motion currently by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Gordon to approve Mr. Babin.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna go ahead and open the machines, vote for approval. That motion passed. Moving to item B, an ordinance authorizing the parish of West Baton Rouge, state of Louisiana, to proceed with a not to exceed $9,160,000 financing through the Louisiana Local Government Environmental Facilities and Community Development Authority, requesting the Louisiana Local Government Environmental Facilities and Community Development Authority to issue its revenue bonds to allow to finance improvements to the parish sewer system, employing bond counsel, independent registered municipal advisor, and underwriter placement agent, authorizing an application to the State Board Commission and otherwise providing with respect thereto. So this is a public hearing. Let me go ahead and open that public hearing. Go ahead there, sir.
Hi, Jim Ryan with
Yes,
Government
Mr. Jim.
Consultants. Y'all introduced this ordinance at your last meeting. This is an ordinance that's required by your home rule charter to
Correct.
proceed with the bond issue. I did want to make just a few comments.
Sure.
When Chance and I were going over this, you're really looking for $8 million is what you're looking for. And Chance was asking me, why are we doing not to exceed 9.1 million? There's two main reasons for that. The first one is that most bonds require either a debt service reserve fund, and that is so that if something happens, and I'll give you the classic example, after Hurricane Katrina, the sales tax collections office in Washington Parish was in the basement of the courthouse, and it flooded, and they couldn't collect sales taxes for 6 months. So you dip into that debt service reserve fund, that rainy day fund, to make your debt service payments. Y'all are a very good credit. The council over the years, I've been working here for 25 years, and the administration and Philip has done a great job managing your finances. I don't anticipate we're gonna need that debt service reserve fund, but that debt service reserve fund is basically 10% on top of what you want. So if you want 8 million, you're gonna add 800,000 to fund that debt service reserve fund. Because you all are such a good credit, we will probably be able to buy an insurance policy called a surety bond in lieu of the debt service reserve fund. That surety bond will cost us $30,000 as opposed to having to borrow an extra 800,000, invest it in an account, and just have it sit there and make your last payment. So that's why, you know, you're looking at 8 million, but that's why it says not to exceed 9 million. The other reason is because the State Bond Commission does not recognize the yield curve. And the yield curve is simply, if you go out and get a 15-year mortgage, you might be paying 5%. If you get a 20-year mortgage, you're gonna pay 6%. If you get a 30-year mortgage, you're gonna pay 7%. That's called the yield curve. So in our application to the Bond Commission, we have to state a not to exceed rate, an interest rate. And I'm not making fun of the Bond Commission. I used to work there. I was the local governmental debt officer for 5 years, but they don't let you run the debt service based on, you know, it's gonna be 2% the first year, 2.5%, and then gets up to 7% in year 30. They make you run the debt service at that maximum rate. So again, that makes all the numbers inflated. The real numbers, which you're probably gonna really wind up borrowing to get 8 million, is 8.3 million. That's in today's numbers, and that'll pay for your surety, your bond insurance, cost of issuance, underwriter's discount, all the fees, the bond commission fee, my fee, the bond attorney's fee, all the fees.
Okay.
Turf's done this before, so he's not interested in what I'm saying.
Okay.
Things went up since then.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I
Well,
have.
I thank you for that information. We appreciate it. Council, y'all got any questions on what he was just mentioned? I guess we're good. Okay, so this is a public hearing. Anyone from the public would like to speak on this matter? Anyone from the public? If not, we're gonna close the public hearing and open up discussion to the council. Okay, so I have a motion by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Lane to approve. If there's no other questions or concerns by the council, I'm gonna open up the machines to vote for approval. That motion passed. Thank you, Mr. Jim. We appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
Okay, moving to item C. An ordinance to amend and reenact the West Baton Rouge Parish Code of Ordinances, Part 3, Unified Development Code, Appendix A, Purchase Donation of Real Property, Section 1, Descriptions, and further authorizing the parish president to sign the necessary documentation to accept donation of lot WBR-S of the settlement of Silverstone subdivision. WBR Parish Assessed Partial Number 305-409-000-2000, Port Allen, Louisiana. So this is a public hearing. I'm gonna open the public hearing at this time. Is there someone can comment on this? Lou? Did you wanna? Oh, somebody. Okay.
This is the Silverstone,
Sewer plant?
treatment plant. It is actually, that's what I was confirming with Adrian.
Okay.
It is part of the consolidated sewer that's gonna be consolidated, when we
Okay.
have the
Awesome,
regional.
thank you. Okay, if there's no one from the public that would like to speak on this matter, I'm gonna close the public hearing and open up discussion to the council. Obviously, I have a motion by Mr. Lane, second by Mr. Joseph, to go ahead and approve this item. I'm opening the machines to vote for approval. That motion passed. Moving item D. An ordinance adopting an operating budget of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026 is published by the West Baton Rouge Parish Council on Aging. So this is a public hearing. I'm gonna open up that public hearing at this time. Chance, or do you have somebody here to speak on that? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Come on up. State your name for the record.
My name is LaShandra Atkins. I'm financial officer with the West Baton Rouge Council on Aging. We're presenting before you our fiscal year 25-26 operating budget. Pretty much it's standard. We have nothing major to actually discuss or bring before you. Of course, we just have a few items where we had increases, of course, in some of our services, which you will see, of course, in our home delivery meals and congregate meals. We just received our contract with the Capital Area Agency on Aging, which is our regional governing office. So, of course, that is not disclosed on here. So I will have to come before you for a revision in probably the next few months once our board approves that. But we are expecting, you see a vehicle purchase here. We actually went through DOTD on last year and applied for 2 additional vans, new vans for our agency. Of course, going through DOTD, we don't pay the full cost, which is almost like $150,000 to $200,000. We only pay a small portion of that. So you will see that disclosed as well, which is an increase of the $44,000. I think we pay like 15 or 20% of the total cost for those vehicles. And I believe that may be it. That's pretty much a lot. All of our.
Let me see if there's anyone from the
Any
public that
questions?
would like to speak on this item. Anyone from the public? If I have no one from the public, I'm gonna close the public hearing and open up discussion to the parish council. Hang around, Ms. LaShandra, we might have some questions for you. So,
LaShandra, quick question. And Chance, you and I talked about this. On the ad valorem line for revenues, I think, and correct me, I don't know the total offhand, I think the assessor had a mill value at 822,878.
Yeah, so if you look at, ad valorem line 1, the 1.3, you're collecting 1.5 mills. Currently, we're collecting, if you go look at what we've collected so far, they're valuing a mill at about 715 is what we're getting. So that number will be a little lower, and going into next year, Chris said the number's gonna stay at the same, maybe even a little lower. That's what I was mentioning to you. That comes out to about 860.
860?
860 a mill.
860 a mill?
Yeah, so you 1.3 million divided by 1.5, 866.
Okay, great. Just making sure. Wonderful. Yeah.
okay. So I actually reached out, I looked at your budget, and I reached out to Chance, and I think I passed some of these out to, did everybody get one of these I sent to y'all?
Yes.
I gave to y'all. I got a couple of comments. Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle. I think you know this, but I want to talk about it a little bit. Currently, you have $5.4 million.
And that's something we have discussed. We're gonna be bringing up some projects in our September meeting.
Okay, all right. You still got $5.4 million in your reserves. And what I have noticed on your budget, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, maybe you can answer this, I'm sure you can. You've got some, if you look at your disbursements, you've claimed reserves as an expenditure. I mean, I would think that's not an expenditure, that goes in reserves.
Right, that goes into reserves.
So, based on your budget you're giving us, that's gonna even go up more.
Correct.
So, believe me, the last thing, you know, we've been doing rollbacks. ever since I've been on the council in 2020. And we don't like to see fund balances get elevated. This is very, very elevated. This is a very, very important fund. You know, we know y'all do a lot of work. You work for the elderly people, and it's great work. But I know, I just think we're at a point where I'm not on your board, Mr. Hotard is, and he and I have had some discussion, and I think he's informed me that he's talked about this at the board meeting, and I think at this point, and council members, y'all need to all talk about, we need to talk about this, because this is a very high fund balance. We don't want to build savings accounts. It's not my money, it's not your money, it's the taxpayers' money.
Correct.
And we can't let reserves get like this. And I want to bring this up for the record, that in 2020, you were at $1.7 million. And I'm just making an assumption here that maybe because of COVID, things changed. I don't know. I don't know anything about your operation. You've went up really fast over the last 1, 2, 3, 4 years. You went from, actually, let's take it 5 years. You've added over $3 million, $3.5 million, and you're gonna go up some more. So you're gonna go up to $4 million in the last 5 years. And I don't know why. I know assessments have went up, but inflation has went up, and sometimes assessments somewhat are offset some by inflation, but not totally. I kind of wonder, Mr. Hotard can comment on this. You know, did you all cut services? How did we get to this point? That's all I'm asking.
We did not cut any of our services. We were actually the only council on aging in our region, probably the entire state, that remained open during COVID. We didn't. Okay. We continued to provide those services. One thing we have done, what I have noticed, is that our interest in on our checking account has increased significantly, which caused us to put. I think we may be getting maybe about over 15 a month, 15,000 a month on our interest account that we are actually transferring back into all of our services, mainly our Title 3B services.
15,000 a month, which
yes.
would be times, that would be.
So we're getting that, and then we also, we had a lot of state funding and federal funding that we received that we had to expand. Interest is gonna keep going up with your fund balance going up, right? So at this point, I want to discuss it with the Hall of Council, but what I would like to see, you have a board, and I know you got to come here for your final approval. I get that. But what is your board saying about this? Do they approve this budget, right? Correct.
Yeah, I can step in.
You want to step in?
Sure,
and maybe you need to speak in.
Yeah, I am the council's representative on the board for the Council on Aging. I have, and even Jason and Philip have had some very pointed conversations with LaShandra and Tommy, the director of the Council on Aging, about the fund balance, and we do recognize that it's at a healthy total, right? And we've talked about a number of different things. So number one, adding capital planning or capital projects to all of our quarterly meetings to figure out how we can put this money to good use, improve constituent experience, make sure that we're doing the best that we can, and offer the best services that we can as a Council on Aging. So all those things are being discussed. What I've asked is that, you know, when we evaluate this year's budget, we did roll them back a full mill last year. We think that's appropriate given their fund balance. Let the board continue to make progress in this area, figure out how we can improve the experiences for all of our constituents, and then revisit this again in 26 if necessary. And if you want to add anything to that, Shannon.
Okay. Like I said, we have been discussing those things, and yes. Mr. Gordon and I, we have also met with Mr. Manola and as well as Mr. Phillip, and there are some other items that we wish to present to our board before we actually come to the parish with those things.
About this? Sorry, coming down now.
Yeah, just come down and let him finish.
First conversation about this happened Q4 of last year when we started talking about balance after last year's budgeting cycle. And the reality is when you try to think about significant capital projects, they don't just happen overnight, right? They take planning, they take time to spend those dollars. So they do have some things that they're buying this year that they've not bought in previous years, but when we talk about bigger ticket items to make the experience better, those just take time and planning.
Alan, did you want to have something to say?
I do. Okay. Look, first of all, I say we as a council appreciate y'all taking care of what you have. But it's also our job to see that our taxpayers are paying no more than they have to pay. And when we see a fund balance that you can't spend in 4 years if you don't receive another penny, that's in excess of what we'd like to see. You have any idea what percentage of our parish is elderly, requires services from the Council on Aging?
Well, the thing is, a lot of the residents here don't use our services.
I know.
So there's no true evidence of how many total seniors we have.
And that's part of my line of where I'm going to, and that's a very good answer. Because then I think we need to be spending some of this money in advertising, getting it out there to the elderly, because I would have to say our parish is probably 40–50% retired, and I could be low, that could use these services. And if we get it out there to them, how they could use it. And then we're not trying to cut y'all's money out, so y'all understand that. But we just want that money to be used and used wisely. Come up with innovative ways to get that to the aging in our parish, because they paid their dues, and we want to see them taken care of. And I know you do too, or you wouldn't have the job you have.
Correct.
So that's what I would like to see in this budget. How we can use this money to enhance the lives of our elderly people, which is what it's all about. More programs.
Discuss this or not, but one of the things that Mr. Gordon and I had discussed, we were going to bring it before our board, of course, first, was trying to establish some satellite locations within our parish, because we have some of our seniors who we feel are somewhat, we don't think they would drive to our location. Mm-hmm. So those are some of the things that we are considering as well. Well, you said south side, yeah. Well, we tend to think that the north side of our parish tends to get left out a lot with some of our
I'm glad you said
seniors.
that. I'm from the north side.
So those are some things that we are, but of course, I mean, we have to have a conversation. We have some ideas, so we just have to kind of like.
If I could.
I don't know if I'm muted or not.
You are. You muted. You muted
because I'm talking.
So
okay.
When
just go on the floor.
Go right ahead.
Brady, just go on the floor.
There you go.
Just go on the floor.
Go ahead.
Those are all part of the discussions that we've been having.
Right.
It was communicated in the first quarter meeting that we got to have some inventiveness and creativity and planning and stuff like this. And it looks like we're on the right track. When Jason and Philip and I sat down, those conversations, Alan, about marketing better and getting the information, that was all part of that, right? So we're certainly.
And even when it comes to the marketing aspect, I'm sorry for cutting you off, but we realized that the local newspaper is no longer here. So we're relying on technology. However, a lot of our seniors don't use technology. Right. So then it becomes, okay, well, let's mail out some things. We have a hard time getting in touch with some of the seniors who are active now. So, I mean, that's a challenge in itself as well. So any suggestions you may have, we're open to those.
Please, yeah.
I'm Tommy Gordon.
Yeah, come on up, Mr. Gordon. Come up to the mic because we can't hear.
Okay. I am Tommy Gordon, the director of the West Baton Rouge Council on Aging. I thank you all for allowing us to be here. It's not like we're trying to hoard the money. Let me, and I've been telling Mr. Hotard this and some of our boards. For the last 4 years, basically, we had COVID, right? And COVID, during the COVID era, they basically pretty much gave us federal money. So that's why you see our budget going up, because we've been using most of the federal money. If you don't give back the federal money, and then if you don't use it, they're gonna take it back. So most of the time we were using federal money up until September of last year. So that's why our budget is steadily going higher. But we have been trying to reach seniors and senior population way before I got here. And even when I got here, I was sending letters out to maybe 50 churches almost every year, and you couldn't get a pastor or anybody else to come back and say, well, we want our people, our constituents, our people to come and actually have a part in the Council on Aging. Now, when they give something free over at the community center or a few other places, everybody and their mama show up. So let's just be honest, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink. We're trying to do everything. That's why we're coming up after having a discussion with Mr. Jason, Mr. Philip, and Mr. We're trying to have some other things that we're trying to do. But even with the food pantry, the food bank we're doing twice a month, we still get people that come that don't actually support the Council on Aging. We're doing that. And we're still trying to come up with other ideas what we can actually do to help support, because just like as y'all constituent, we care a lot about those seniors. And we want to make sure we can do the very best we can. But I'm trying to tell you the reason why the money is high, because we were using a lot of Fed dollars. Right now, the Fed dollars have cut off. So Fed dollars have cut off, the NISP have cut off, and just lately, I think about the last couple of weeks, the governor actually signed up. All the directors were trying to get an increase on the meals. They were still paying us $2.50 from the beginning starting of the meals, when our meals actually run about almost $5. So they gave us an extra $50,000 just to help cover the meal costs. I think the governor signed it last week, or early this part of this week. So we're still, as director, we're still trying to make sure that we're able to accomplish everything for our seniors. That's not a one senior we won't deny them. We're still giving free services. We had that discussion with Mr. Hotard, because when they cut off our money, as far as the Fed and the NISP, which help supply our meals, we at one time tried to do something what we call a fair, and then we had that discussion, and we talked to OEA, and they said, yeah, you can do it. And then we went to another meeting with the OEA and DOT. They said, no, because you're 5310, you really can't do it. So we're going back to donation only. And that's what we continue to do, and that's from not only the West Baton Rouge, but East Baton Rouge Medical as well. But that's the only reason why the money has increased, because we're using other people's money to try to save the money for the parish, because we don't never know when a rainy day gonna come. But we are being applications about trying to spend more money. We got several different ideas that we're trying to come between June. And I will sit down and talk to the parish president about some things, and then hopefully the parish council as well. Some other things we're trying to do. So we're working at it.
So I don't mean to jump in front of my colleagues here.
Yes.
But this federal money, what are we talking about? How much? I mean, you keep saying that that's what you were spending because you wasn't spending local money. How much were you getting? Because I look back at some of your budgets, I don't see that.
Well, that was the ARP funding, a lot of the ARP funding,
right.
the American Rescue Funding, Plan funding
Yeah.
that we received, that we had to expend, as well as we received the increase in our PCOA funding from the state as well. So all of those funds we had to expend to keep from sending back to the state.
Yes.
And the feds.
I mean, I understand that, but that's not a lot of money, but okay, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. I just, go ahead, Mr. Walker.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have. Alan mentioned about the growth in the senior population. Carrie and I were speaking about this earlier. And my question to him was the census and what that growth looks like here in West Baton Rouge Parish and how we can spend that money. And you mentioned about reaching out to the faith-based organizations in our parish. I was going to mention that to you, maybe some sort of drive to get more people involved. What are some of the projects that you guys are proposing? Can you disclose that? You mentioned about a satellite location on the southern end of the parish. We've had an explosion of growth in the Bruley and Addis area. So with that, that's something that you guys are seriously considering?
Yes.
Yes.
Have you guys identified a location?
We have,
At least one.
at one, the north end in the Urbanville area, we have, we were gonna meet with the parish to
Parish,
determine,
yes.
if we could possibly use, I think it was the Urbanville, one of the community center or the recreation center, if there were
Okay.
space for us there to possibly, do a satellite location there.
But nothing,
about the south
but on the
Oh,
southern
we're
end
gonna-
is, so the southern end, I was asking about the Bruley and Addis area. You guys mentioned.
We have not identified a location in the Bruley.
As of yet.
As of yet. We
Okay.
haven't.
You know,
Okay, I'm gonna come down.
Okay. Mr. Crowe?
You know, Brady asked us to approve this budget and give you till next year to get some items on the table and let us see some things.
Okay.
You know, this problem's been going on for 4 years, and you talk about the monies that you're getting from the federals and everything else, and you send out your budget this year, and you've got an increased fund balance without the federal money. So, what I'm looking for is some action. What we need to keep approving budgets is some action, not 4 years down the road, not next 10 years down the road. When this budget comes back before us, I wanna see something on it that's helping get this problem solved.
Okay.
I mean, okay. Any,
if I could.
come down, Mr. Crowe? Go ahead, yeah, go ahead,
Yeah, and
Jason, I'm
I'm
sorry.
glad you mentioned the part about satellite location. Right before you did that, I tapped Philip on the shoulder. I said, you know, we've got senior activities that are taking place throughout our parish. In Urbanville, we have the Senior Spirit Group, and that is there a possibility, is a shift in some of the funding that's actually coming out of our recreation department currently to the Council on Aging? It's all benefiting our senior citizens, our senior population. And I think it's also been another opportunity to grow even those type of programs.
That's a good point, Jason.
Very good
That's a
point.
good point.
Can y'all look at that?
Yeah.
On the
Right.
board?
And,
Okay.
yeah, there was something else.
Yes, ma'am. You had, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I don't mean to go on and on about this, but our seniors are very important, so.
Yep.
I wanted to mention something else, if you guys consider mirroring some of the other programs that they're offering in other parishes that will like meet the population.
We actually visited, Ascension Council on Aging.
Okay,
We had discussed a wellness center
okay,
at our Port Allen location, and what they use that is to model to bring in the younger seniors into the Council on Aging. And that's where we find we have a lot of the older seniors. A lot of the younger seniors don't feel they're old enough.
right.
They're not there yet to
Right.
come here to our location. So that's what we, something else, one of our capital projects we wish to do is a wellness center. We did do a tour there, and we spoke with the director there, and she shared a lot of good points and tidbits as well. Believe it or not, this is something that we wanted to do initially, but our previous board decided to go with the addition of our building instead of like something separate for wellness.
So we're talking about the possibility of an additional satellite location and a wellness center.
Wellness center,
So-
correct, to bring in some of the younger
To bring in some of the,
population. Yes.
thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Joseph.
It's, when I first talked to Mr. Gordon about the, Council on Aging, I was just trying to go around through the neighborhood and ask a few of them, you know, would they participate, but they don't want to participate. And just as she said, you have the ones that have the age, but they don't think that,
Right.
they don't feel
Correct.
that they should go back there.
Stigma.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
because all they do is play bingo, that's what they say. That's all they do is play bingo. But I think if, as you said, if you get some program going, wellness center and the satellite, and I mean, anything would help out.
And can I say this, please? While all you all are honest councilmen, can y'all please tell y'all constituents as well?
Yes.
Please come visit the Council on Aging.
Yes.
Okay, because sometimes it means more if you all say it than just us saying it. Because we've been saying it back there since 1972.
Right.
And you still got the same few million old ones that comes in. This past, last month or so, we had the Old American Month. We honored 2 people that have made 100, and we honored another 4 of them that was 90-something. We had a house full of people.
Okay.
And I hate to keep kind of beating a dead horse too, but I just think there's other opportunities. You know, if there is that stigma that we're talking about of actually going to a senior, I mean, they love bus trips. We've got folks seniors that takes bus trips as often as they could that we're actually financing through, you know, different sources. So that may be another opportunity for some folks to benefit from a program like this.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm gonna make one last statement. And I'm finished discussing it as far as I'm concerned, but my last statement is, I hear everything y'all saying, but if it looks to me like what you're telling me with the people that don't wanna come, that we don't need that much money. And we do have the authority up here to cut the millage. So if you don't need it, I can tell you, I'm gonna be the one making that motion to cut the millage.
That's been communicated to them as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah, they know that.
Okay. Well, I think we've discussed it enough. I'm going to go ahead and vote for approval to this motion, Mr. Joseph. I guess it's to approve.
to approve.
But again, look, I think this is one of the last things that I want to cut.
Absolutely.
This affects me actually personally too. Okay, not me, but my family. And look, you got to understand our side of this. You got this much money in there, and it's the taxpayers' money, and they gonna see it too, and they're not gonna like it. So, only thing I want to ask Mr. Hotard, I know he's on this now. We expect some solutions in the next year, and if not, we're gonna have to take some. This council, when you come next year, we're gonna have to take some action. So I just want to go ahead and just get that on the record for y'all. And that's all I got to say. So I guess at this point, no other comments. Y'all ready to move forward?
Yes.
Have a motion by Mr. Joseph, second by Mr. Lane to go ahead and approve this item.
Yes.
If there's no other discussion amongst the council, open the machines to vote for approval. And motion passed.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you. Item 13, consider status report, change order, and/or other matters as required on current projects. We have none. Item 14, introduction of ordinances. You flip back, huh, Michelle? Now you got this lighter one.
An ordinance of West River Parish Council adopting the 2024-2025 year-end budget adjustments to the West Baton Rouge Council on Aging operating budget of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024, and ending June 30, 2025. Public hearing date will be July 24, 2025.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Moving to item 15, resolutions. A resolution indicating the intention of the Parish of West Baton Rouge, State of Louisiana, to affirm its membership to the Louisiana Local Government Environmental Facilities and Community Development Authority, the authority, and approve the 2-year appointment of the parish president as a director to the board of the Louisiana Local Government Environmental Facilities and Community Development Authority as provided by Chapter 10-D of Title 33 of the Louisiana Revised Statutes of 1950 as amended. Go ahead there, Mr. Jim.
Jim Ryan, Government Consultants, and I'm going to address most of this to President Manola. About 25 years ago, the Police Jury Association, the Municipal Association, the Sheriff's Association, the Rural Water Association, and the Association of Nonprofits and the School Board Association got together and got some legislation passed to clean up the public finance statutes in Louisiana, because being under Napoleonic Code, before that the public finance statutes were very archaic. And for example, you had to do a sewer revenue bond, or you had to do a sales tax revenue bond, or you had to do a water revenue bond. And it really hamstrung local governments in their ability to finance things. So when I was at the Bond Commission, the legislature passed this, because of all those organizations, the legislature passed this law created this thing called the Louisiana Community Development Authority. And my next job was the first director of the Louisiana Community Development Authority. I did that for 5 years. So they are a conduit bond issuer, which means they are technically going to borrow the money. They're going to go out on the market and sell it. And then they're going to sign a loan agreement with you, and you're going to pay them so they can pay the bond off. As part of going, and the reason we're going through them, the reason we're using them is they have this thing called a lawfully available funds pledge, which basically says you're going to promise to pay the $8 million back with whatever source of revenue that Chance can find that's not dedicated to something else. That's a much better credit than just saying, well, I'm only going to pay it with sewer revenues, or I'm only going to pay it with sales tax revenues, or I'm only going to pay it with this. If you make money from your Coke machine and that money's not dedicated, that's available for debt service. So it gets you a much better credit posture, which gets you a better rating on the bonds, which lowers your interest rate. So that's why we're going through what I call the LCDA, and that's what you're doing tonight. To go through there, it doesn't cost you a penny to join. There's no annual fee, anything like that. But to use them as a conduit issuer, and their board is made up of parish presidents. Who's the Parish President Association? Used to be the parish president over here. Yeah, he was a parish president. I think he's president of the association right now. Yes, okay. So the board is made up of people like that, mayors, parish presidents, port directors, sheriffs, etc. And in order to go through them and use them, you have to join the LCDA. That's required by statute. You have to appoint a director. They're going to have annual meetings. It doesn't cost you anything to go. It's right over here in Baton Rouge. They serve a nice spread. You get a per diem. I would highly encourage you to go, or proxy Chance. But it's a great little organization, and you'll learn a lot about the bond process just by going to the meetings. Very educational, and it's all local governments. Their motto is, which I created, brag, financing by local governments for local governments. Great organization. So that's what you're doing tonight. You're joining the LCDA, and you're appointing President Manola as the director, the representative from the parish to the LCDA.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Long
Jim,
explanation.
for that clarification. We appreciate it. All right. So we currently have a motion by Mr. Lane, second by Mr. Hotard, to go ahead and approve this resolution.
Yes, sir.
There's no other comments or questions? I'm opening the machines. Vote for approval.
Now you get to deal with it, Texas.
Got to cross the bridge. That's your biggest obstacle.
Yep. Okay, moving to item B, a resolution ordering and calling for a special election to be held in the Parish of West Baton Rouge, State of Louisiana, to authorize the renewal, levy, and collection of special taxes therein, making application to the Louisiana State Bond Commission, and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Go ahead, Mr. Jim.
Yes, sir. This is just putting your drainage renewal and your library tax renewal back on the ballot.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. I have a motion.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Yep, thank you. I have a motion by Mr. Babin, second by Ms. Andre, to approve this resolution. I'm going to open the machines to vote for approval. That motion passed. Item 16, consider subdivision plats, condemnations, waivers, and matters related thereto. We have none. Item 17, correspondence report. Ms. Michelle.
Correspondence, the next planning and zoning meeting has been canceled. Our next meeting, July 10th, is also canceled. However, just to remind all of you, our following meeting, Thursday, July 24th, we also have a fire board meeting before that meeting. I will be sending you guys out reminders about the fire board meeting.
Great. With that, got a motion by Mr. Lane. Didn't let him beat you this time.
No,
To adjourn.
I didn't even try this time.
But you gotta let him win. You gotta let him win. No, you don't. I'll even close it this time. Don't let him win. Look at me go with the